If there is a place in this world where beauty becomes intimidating because it is too perfect, it would be Switzerland. A land where snow-covered mountains stand as still as sculptures, where lakes are so clear they mirror the sky, and where the people, especially the women, carry a kind of beauty that makes you take a deep breath before you dare to speak. Not the kind of beauty that tries to impress, but a cold, elegant, minimalist beauty that quietly overwhelms you, a presence that doesn't need makeup, doesn't need attention, and doesn't need to try. And then you hear the whispers, 45% of Swiss women don't even need to get married. What is it about them that makes them so complete, so confident, so independent, that they do not need anyone to complete their lives? What kind of society creates women who are strong, yet gentle, distant, yet irresistibly magnetic? And why, in a place as breathtaking as Switzerland, does solitude become a choice rather than a fear? In the next few minutes, you'll see a different Switzerland, not just luxury watches, sweet chocolate, or the mighty Alps, but a Switzerland of people, character, lifestyle, and the hidden truths behind a beauty so flawless it feels almost untouchable. If you're ready to explore the story behind this dangerously beautiful country, leave a number 1, let me know you're here, and let's begin this journey together. 1. Location and the soul map of Switzerland. Tucked neatly between 5 European powers, Germany, France, Italy, Austria, and Liechtenstein, Switzerland looks like a precious gem surrounded on all sides, yet it carries a strangely independent soul. Its location doesn't just shape its geography. It has shaped the nation's character through centuries of history. While Europe was swept into war after war, Switzerland chose to remain neutral, a decision that became more than policy. It became identity. Through generations, that choice has seeped into the people themselves, making them calm, self-reliant, and instinctively resistant to conflict. But what truly sets Switzerland apart is how it harmonizes diversity. This small country is divided into 3 major cultural regions: the Germanic region, speaking German, the Romance region, speaking French or Italian, and the rare Romanche-speaking region, with a language that feels like it walked out of the Middle Ages. 3 cultures, 3 mindsets, 3 lifestyles. Yet when placed together on the same land, they function as smoothly as a perfectly tuned Swiss watch. No chaos, no rivalry, no noise, just mutual respect. People often say, amid the loudness of Europe, Switzerland is like a soundproof room, a place where you can stand in a public square and hear the water flowing in a fountain, hear footsteps on stone, and feel the silence nourishing an entire nation. And it is this unique position, surrounded by power, yet untouched by turmoil, that has allowed Switzerland to build an identity that is calm, steady, and so quietly admirable that the world cannot help but take notice. 2. Swiss women beautiful in a dangerous way. If beauty comes in many forms, then Swiss women belong to one of the rarest kinds, a minimalist, understated, yet dangerously captivating beauty. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't call attention to itself, no heavy makeup, no flashy outfits, no exaggerated gestures, and yet the longer you look, the more magnetic it becomes. They aren't trying to impress you. They simply don't need to. Their outdoor lifestyle gives them a natural, effortless, glow-toned legs, from long hikes, rosy cheeks, from the crisp morning air, and calm eyes shaped by weekends spent climbing mountains rather than scrolling through social media. They exercise not to look beautiful, but because it's a way of life. And ironically, that very effortlessness is what makes their beauty dangerous, the kind of attraction that pulls you in yet leaves you wondering if you're good enough to approach. And when you hear that 45% of Swiss women don't get married, the picture becomes even clearer. Here, gender equality isn't a slogan, it's reality. Swiss women are highly educated, financially secure, professionally stable, and emotionally self-reliant. They don't need anyone to build their future or complete their life. This level of independence can feel intimidating to many foreign men, because they are not looking for someone to take care of them. They are looking for a partner, someone dependable, genuine, and above all, someone who keeps his word. In Switzerland, actions weigh far more than words. They marry late or not at all because they prioritize personal freedom. They want a life that moves at their own rhythm, working hard, hiking on weekends, reading in cafes, traveling alone, investing in themselves. Marriage only matters if it enhances life, not because society expects it, and certainly not because they fear being alone. And if you want a real-life image of this kind of beauty, imagine this: 6 a.m. at a Zurich train station. It's cold. The streetlights cast a soft gold glow on the wet pavement. A young woman stands alone, wrapped in a long, cream-colored coat, holding a cup of hot coffee steaming in the air, headphones in her ears. She doesn't look around. She isn't searching for anyone's attention. She simply waits for her train with quiet confidence. Yet somehow, that stillness makes you look twice. In Switzerland, beauty doesn't chase you. It stays still, and you are the one drawn toward it. 3. The hidden shadows. Switzerland also has its cracks. At first glance, Switzerland feels flawless, clean, peaceful, beautiful, like a postcard. But behind that perfect surface are tiny cracks most outsiders never notice. Yes, there are still areas you shouldn't walk alone after 10 p.m., but deeper than that, Switzerland is facing new social challenges. A rising wave of immigration has created subtle cultural mismatches in certain neighborhoods, reserved Swiss locals living alongside new communities with very different lifestyles. Income gaps also create invisible divides between social groups. Housing prices continue to skyrocket, pushing many young Swiss people out of major cities. And although the economy is strong, the job market is far from easy. Every position is highly competitive, and most jobs require fluency in the specific language of the region you live in. But perhaps the hardest part for newcomers is the loneliness. Swiss people are polite, kind, but private. They greet you, they smile at you. Yet to become real friends, you'll need time and patience. In a country this quiet, sometimes the silence itself makes you feel like an outsider. Switzerland is still breathtaking, still peaceful. But like every beautiful place, it has its cracks, small, subtle, and very real. 4. Architecture and living spaces, the aesthetics of precision. When you look at the villages resting on the slopes of the Alps, you immediately understand why Swiss architecture makes people stop and stare. The dark wooden chalets, steep roofs built to shed heavy snow, small windows designed to keep warmth inside, and balconies overflowing with red flowers. Everything feels rustic yet flawless, as if preserved carefully through centuries. The old wooden bridges, the stone houses in Bern or Lucerne, and the spotless streets where not even a scrap of paper can be found. These are the parts of Switzerland everyone sees. But behind that traditional beauty lies a modern Switzerland that is just as breathtaking. Basel, the country's hub of art and contemporary architecture, is home to iconic works by the world-renowned duo Herzog and de Meuron, the minds behind Germany's Allianz Arena and London's Tate Modern. In Basel, glass, steel, and concrete are used in a way so gentle that they blend into the sky, reflecting light, as if they were part of the landscape rather than an intrusion into it. There's another detail Switzerland is famous for, though foreigners rarely talk about it: the balcony. Almost every apartment has one positioned to face a mountain, a lake, or at least a patch of greenery. It's not decoration, it's a lifestyle philosophy. The Swiss want to see nature every morning before their day begins, and architecture here is built to open outward, not close inward. Step inside a Swiss home and you'll discover something the world envies: world-class soundproof windows. In Switzerland, you can live next to a railway or in the middle of the city and still hear the ticking of your wall clock. Everything is quiet, with almost calculated precision, as if the entire country were designed to protect the human mind from stress. All of this reflects a deep architectural philosophy in Switzerland. Form follows function. But here, function never kills emotion. Instead, it creates a unique aesthetic, clean but not cold, modern but not soulless, precise yet poetic. That's why when you walk through any Swiss street, whether an ancient village or a modern district, you feel as though you've stepped into a world arranged with such care that it borders on perfection. 5. Nature. The silence that can bring you to tears. Swiss nature is never loud. It doesn't try to overwhelm you or scream for your attention. It simply stands there, silent, majestic, and so breathtakingly pure that sometimes you have to hold your breath. And it's exactly that silence that moves you the most. If there is one place that teaches you what untouched beauty truly means, it is Weskinen Lake. Tucked between towering cliffs, its turquoise water is so clear it mirrors every curve of the Alps. In the early morning, the lake is still like a sheet of glass. Stand there for just a few seconds, and you'll feel time itself slowing down around you. Then you arrive in Lauterbrunnen, the valley known as the Valley of 72 Waterfalls. Standing on soft green meadows surrounded by massive rock walls, you watch water cascade from heights like silver ribbons drifting through the air. This valley was so enchanting that Tolkien used it as inspiration for Rivendell in The Lord of the Rings. In Lauterbrunnen, you don't just see nature, you live inside it. And then there's Appenzell, a countryside dreamland, where cows with tinkling bells wander along rolling green hills. Every house is painted in soft pastel colors, and every small road leads you to another peaceful valley. Appenzell reminds you that Switzerland is not only about dramatic mountains, but also about gentle, comforting landscapes that soften your heart. Finally comes the moment you step onto the summit of an alpine peak. The cold wind brushes your face, your scarf lifts in the air, and below your feet, the clouds move. You hear nothing except your own breathing. Mountain after mountain stretches beyond the horizon, and suddenly you realize how incredibly small you are compared to the world. In Switzerland, nature doesn't need to prove anything. It simply stands still. And that stillness alone is enough to bring tears to your eyes. 6. Real life in Switzerland. Expensive but worth every franc. Living in Switzerland feels like stepping into a world where everything works flawlessly, trains arrive on time, streets stay spotless, and even the smallest details seem perfectly arranged. But that perfection comes with a price. Switzerland is one of the most expensive countries on earth, and you'll feel it from the very first expenses. A simple meal for 20 to 30 CHF, a cup of coffee for 5 CHF, and rent that can swallow an entire European salary. The three most expensive cities, Zurich, Geneva, and Basel, each carry their own flavor. Zurich is the financial powerhouse, beautiful, efficient, but breathtakingly costly. Geneva is luxurious and international, where almost everything seems to have an extra service charge. Basel is slightly less glamorous, yet still pricey, due to the influx of highly paid professionals in pharmaceutical and biotech companies. In all three cities, housing prices are often the biggest shock for newcomers. But the compensation is clear. Swiss salaries are among the highest in the world. In IT, workers often earn 7,000, 9,000 CHF per month. Banking and finance can exceed 10,000 CHF. The medical field ranges from £6,000 to £8,000 CHF. Even the hospitality sector, lower by Swiss standards, pays around 4,000 to 5,000 CHF, still high compared to the rest of Europe. Everything revolves around balance: high income, high cost, equally high quality. Grocery shopping reveals the same truth. 1 kg of beef, 45 to 60 CHF, 12 eggs, 5 to 8 CHF, Even a small bunch of vegetables can cost as much as a meal elsewhere. But in return, you get absolute peace of mind, clean food, strict standards, and quality that never disappoints. For transportation, many locals use the GA travel card, which grants unlimited access to trains, buses, and trams nationwide. It's proof of Switzerland's commitment to excellent public transit, fast, clean, quiet, and as punctual as the watches they're famous for. And when it comes to lifestyle, the Swiss party, less exercise, more. Instead of late nights at bars, they spend weekends hiking, cycling, jogging around lakes, or simply lying on a grassy hill watching clouds drift by. They don't live fast, they live deeply. And that's why life in Switzerland, though expensive, feels worth every franc for those who seek peace, discipline, and true quality of life. 7. Culture, discipline, privacy, and respect. If anything defines Switzerland, it is discipline. Here, being on time isn't politeness, it's respect. A meeting at 3:00 means 3:00, not 3:05. This precision is what allows the entire society to run smoothly, like the Swiss watches they are famous for. In public spaces, Swiss people speak softly, almost gently. No shouting, no loud conversations on trains. Silence itself is a cultural value and a way of respecting the personal space of others. But quiet doesn't mean lacking personality. Switzerland carries unique traditions, yodeling with echoes bouncing across mountain valleys. The cow parades where enormous bells ring proudly as herds descend from the Alps. And above all, the watchmaking culture, which feels less like a craft and more like a national belief in absolute precision. Across its regions, cultural differences become even more charming. The German-speaking Swiss are direct and disciplined. The French-speaking Swiss are softer and more expressive, and the Italian-speaking regions feel warm, lively, and open to conversation. 3 communication styles, 3 spirits, all coexisting seamlessly in one small country. In Switzerland, culture isn't displayed through grand gestures. It lives quietly in the way people move, speak, respect, and preserve a little private space for their own souls. 8. Seasonal travel, a new version. Switzerland is beautiful year-round, but each season opens a completely different world, like 4 chapters of a living fairy tale. In spring, Zurich awakens with the Sechseleuten Festival. Crowds gather in the square to burn a giant snowman effigy that predicts the summer weather. The faster it explodes, the warmer the summer will be. It's strange, lively, and wonderfully Swiss, a symbolic farewell to the long winter. In summer, the crystal-clear Limmat River becomes Zurich's natural swimming pool. Locals jump straight in, floating through the city in cold, refreshing water, an experience that gives many visitors culture shock, yet it's an iconic part of Swiss life. Further west, you can board a steamship on Lake Geneva, gliding across mirrored water framed by mountains and elegant old villas. In autumn, the Engadin Valley turns into a masterpiece of golden scenery. Larch forests shift to deep yellow lakes become still mirrors, and the light feels so crisp it's like breathing inside a meditation painting. In winter, Switzerland becomes magical. The Lucerne Light Festival transforms the city into a glowing sea of color. In Davos, night skiing trails shine across snowy slopes, letting you race down powder-soft hills under warm amber lights from the mountain town below. 4 seasons, 4 personalities. Each one makes you feel as if you're living in a different world, peaceful, beautiful, and unforgettable. 9. Residency and visas, the truth. Most people don't know. When it comes to living long-term in Switzerland, many people only see the beauty and the lifestyle, but few realize that Switzerland has one of the strictest residency and visa systems in Europe. The country uses 3 main permits. L permit, for short-term stays usually tied to contracts under 1 year. It offers limited rights and is very difficult to convert into long-term residency. B permit, for longer stays often linked to multi-year employment contracts. This is the most common permit for foreigners, but the number issued each year is capped. C permit, similar to a permanent residency green card. You can only receive it after 5 to 10 years in Switzerland, depending on your nationality. With a C permit, you can change jobs freely, move to different cantons, and enjoy rights almost equal to Swiss citizens. Look deeper, and you'll discover something even more surprising. Tax rates vary dramatically between cantons. Some places like Zug offer incredibly low tax rates. Others are so expensive that residents think twice before staying. Choose the wrong canton, and you might lose thousands of francs a year simply because of your postal code. And buying property Switzerland is nothing like countries that welcome foreign buyers. Owning a home here is almost mission impossible unless you obtain a special authorization called the Lex Caller permit. This law strictly limits how many foreigners can buy property, especially in scenic areas like lakesides, tourist zones, and regions with high environmental value. Put simply, living in Switzerland is possible, but staying long-term requires much more than money. You need patience, legal awareness, and a carefully chosen path. Only then does Switzerland truly open its doors to you. 10. Drawbacks of living in Switzerland. Even though Switzerland looks like a painting and functions with almost unreal perfection, no place is a true paradise. For foreigners, there are very real downsides you only understand after living here long enough. First is how hard it is to make friends. Swiss people are polite and kind, but they keep what many call a closed social circle. You may see them every day exchange smiles, even small talk, but becoming part of their real inner life takes time, patience, and persistence. Second, the job market is extremely competitive. Every position demands specialized skills, solid experience, and strong command of the local language. Even if you're good, you're competing with people who are equally or even more qualified in a country where high standards are the norm. Another often unspoken issue is winter depression. The days become very short, the skies stay gray for weeks, and sunlight is rare. Many people experience mood drops and must actively combat it through exercise, social connection, or using therapy lamps. Lastly, Swiss communication is direct and concise, which can easily be misunderstood by foreigners as cold or distant. In reality, they're simply clear, practical, and not overly ceremonial in their speech. Switzerland is stunning, but these shadows are part of the truth, things you must be ready to face if you want to live here long term. Switzerland is not a place where everything is perfect. It's expensive, hard to break into socially, and at times so quiet and cold that you're forced to confront yourself during those long winter days. But precisely because of that, Switzerland teaches you a new rhythm of life, slower, deeper, and filled with gratitude in ways few places can offer. Here you learn to appreciate every moment: the warmth of a morning coffee, the touch of alpine wind on your face, the silence so pure you can hear your own heartbeat. You begin to understand that happiness doesn't come from noise or excess, but from small things done with care and intention. If you can accept the high cost of living and the initial loneliness, Switzerland will gradually reveal to you one of the best qualities of life in the world: safety, tranquility, discipline, and a harmony with nature that very few countries still preserve. And one day, as you stand by a still lake reflecting the mountains above, you'll realize something simple but profound. It wasn't Switzerland that changed you. It was you who changed to live more beautifully. If this resonated with you, leave a number 1 so I know you're still here with me.